Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I am your host, Max Kellerhalls, and today is going to be the finale of our 15-long video series of X Marathon, the series where we reviewed all of the live-action X-Men films and that one animated TV show, all leading up to this movie right here, Deadpool and Wolverine. And yeah, this has been a long time coming, and the panel I have with me today include...
Yo, what's up? I'm Kris.
And Adrian.
Kris, this is your first time here on X Marathon, officially.
Yeah, officially, considering my audio was shit for the first Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, Adrian, you've now reviewed both the Wolverine and Deadpool films with me, so it's kind of fitting you're here to the end. Yippee! How about this? Let's just say our one-sentence review of this film, and then we can go from there. I'll start with Kris. What did you think of this film?
I thought it was really good. I thought after the second movie, which didn't quite match the energy of the first one, this third one definitely matched the energy of the first movie.
Okay. Adrian, what about you?
Can I go against that comment real quick? I think this was a combination of both, but I'll get into that later.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this is easily one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. And as a nerd, one of the most satisfying movies I've ever watched.
It's funny because I'll have to be different from both of you guys. I think this film is way different than the first two, and it has way more energy than the first two, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Like, this video shouldn't really be considered a review, only because this is a very tough video to criticize. There are things I'm going to be very nitpicky about. However, in the grand scheme of things, this movie is so much fun and has such like a fun, ultimately lighthearted vibe that it's really hard to be mean or like, negative against it. This thing feels like a labor of love between everybody involved, kind of like the first film. It's two friends in real life getting to make a movie together with a director who they've both worked with before and had a lot of fun with, and they now get to play with all the toys they never got to play with before. And that's what this film feels like. It's just like this big nerd wet dream, which they do make fun of and say that in the film.
Hey, Max, I thought there was no spoilers.
Okay, that's not, like, I won't specifically say. I didn't say the line. We will get into spoilers, but for right now, this is our non-spoiler thoughts, people. But no, yeah, I had so much fun with this film. The thing that just makes this film amazing is just the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. They are so good together.
I feel like any additional takes they had during filming was just them constantly making bloopers. But if they wanted to, they could have finished all their line scenes so fast because they have such great chemistry.
Yeah, I don't know how much this film is riffed, because here's the thing, like, this film was filmed during the writer's strike and then the actor's strike.
Which, that is really something, considering nothing was getting fucking written back then.
Exactly, like, and the thing is that Ryan Reynolds was not allowed to ad-lib at all during, like, the time that the writers weren't allowed, like, the writer's strike, so, because he was considered a writer on the film, so he couldn't add anything to the film, which is amazing to me, that the fact that this film in any way is decent at all, because a lot of films that were made during writer strikes are not good. Case in point, look at X-Men Origins Wolverine that was made during the writer strike.
Bro.
Yeah, so that's fucking crazy to me, like, that this film at all is at least fun and watchable. But just curious, like, overall, what did you guys think of, like, our main leads of the film?
I've never really seen a Wolverine movie, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty fucking cool to see how Logan interacted with Deadpool. Like, I know in the comics they tend to work together occasionally because X-Men and Deadpool normally hangs around them. But, like, damn, I wasn't expecting them to be as funny as they were.
Yeah, considering I watched both the Wolverine and Deadpool series, allowing Logan and I guess Hugh Jackman as well to just crack jokes and not be as serious as he was in the previous movies, because I feel like he didn't get a whole lot of that in the Wolverine movies, but seeing him just cracking jokes, having a good time. Even though most of the lines are just like monotone, quick jokes, it's still refreshing to see Hugh just have that kind of freedom. And then just Ryan Reynolds is so good that he can just bounce off it. It's beautiful chemistry.
Especially hearing Wolverine swear. He deserved to have more swear words.
And Disney is like, oh, we gotta put a cap at least. But then Ryan Reynolds.
Well, from what I heard is that behind the scenes of this film, they were allowed to do anything they wanted except for drug use. So they were basically like, oh, okay, we can't use drugs. We'll make fun of that in the film. Which is crazy to think that, like, you have carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want on a Disney film. This is Disney's first R-rated film.
Which really surprises me that they chose Deadpool. I mean, granted, they just bought Deadpool from Fox.
Not for me. Honestly, this makes perfect sense because it's a comedy, and comedy's more open to a lot more people. If it was like a horror film, then they'd be like, yeah, we're not going to make this rated R.
Yeah, and if I've read this right, this is like the fastest grossing rated R movie of all time.
Oh, yeah. This film is making money.
Disney is happy right now.
Oh, they're happy. I think the highest grossing R-rated film in America is The Passion of the Christ. This film is going to beat that.
It's going to beat the shit out of it.
Uh-huh. It's also ironic that they say, like, oh yeah, Marvel Jesus in the film.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of funny.
Move over, Jesus.
Yeah. I've also seen some stuff online where, like, a bunch of Christians have come out and said, like, this film is blasphemous. I'm like, what?
It's Deadpool.
Yeah. It's just stupid. I've seen some of their stuff that, like, I walked out 25 minutes in. I'm like,
oh, you saw that video too?
I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Dude, I hate that video so much.
Their money, not ours.
So I just want to point out, like, slight spoiler, they're totally okay what happens in the opening of the film.
As soon as they mention our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ,
they're like, I'm out.
They made fun of my God.
That's ridiculous. All right, but
womp womp. It's a movie, and it said he can do what he wants.
It's Disney too. They don't care.
Yeah.
For real.
Nah, yeah, I was just shocked. Like I didn't know how R-rated this would get, but for the most part, like, it's just bloody and like the swear words and sexual references are just abundant. There's no, like, actual, like, physical sex in the film. Like, they don't go there.
Which is different from the others.
Yeah.
The other ones, they definitely did.
But then again, I'm also thinking just the story of this film. I don't know how it would really work. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like, you don't need to just have a random sex scene in the middle of this. But no.
Honestly, yeah, you're right. I don't know how it would fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it fair to say there's brain fucking, or is that a spoiler?
We won't give context.
I guess there was fucking.
If we want to get, like, negatives out of the way, because I just kind of want to talk more about negatives in this spoiler-free, I'll say that I don't think the plot is that strong compared to, like, the first one. I think it's a little bit better than the second one, but, like, I feel like the major problem with this film is just motivations from the villain side of things.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I remember saying that to you, like, as soon as the movie ended. I felt underwhelmed by the motive and somewhat the conclusion, like how they handle it. It was just, I mean, it was just mainly the motive of our villain.
Yeah, villains.
Yeah, the handling at the end was honestly kind of funny. Which big bad are we talking about?
Caillou.
Cassandra Nova.
Oh, okay. We're just in the name. Okay.
Caillou.
In my opinion, I think the performance is really good. I think Emma Corrin, they are really good. Like, they're really good as the character. I thought their overall, like, mannerisms and, like, bravado and energy they brought out into the character was really cool. I'm glad that they kept the original backstory for the character. Because I was like, I wonder how far they're going to take this character, because the character in the comics has a bizarre backstory. And for the most part, they kept it pretty much the same. But for me, it's just like, once we get out of the beginning of the third act into, like, the final battle, Cassandra Nova, the character, her overall, like, motive for what she's doing makes no sense to me. Because I'm like, okay, I get that she's crazy, but why all of a sudden is she wanting to do this when she was totally okay with just like, all right, you guys can go now? It's just a weird, like, all of a sudden how the story was progressing. I felt like the ending of this film kind of we had like 3 different finales.
Well, I think, like, for me, like, they were juggling 2 villains
Mm-hmm.
in the movie,
Yeah,
and then they kind of threw one away. Had no real impact except giving the other villain a motive.
exactly.
And, like, that's where it lost me, and, like, this is kind of messy, and just kind of fell a little flat at the end. But
Get you.
I wouldn't say I'm entirely disappointed with the ending.
Me
It's
neither.
just the build up and the actual motive. It's like, maybe could have gone a different way and maybe had the same ending.
I gotcha. Definitely agree with you. And like again, this is like we're just saying negatives right off the front here because I genuinely had a lot of fun with this movie. It's just that like some things weren't as well written in my opinion. Like even Paradox as a villain, I thought he was.
Paradox is fucking hilarious.
I will say his performance is really funny. A little over at the top in my opinion. I felt like he was really trying to stand out amongst everybody, which
You kind of have to.
I know, but I felt like it was just a bit much, but
He was fine, honestly.
yeah. I thought there were some moments he did make me laugh, specifically towards the end. Now going into things I'm really like, I like the integration of the TVA into this film because if I assume I'm the only person here who watched Loki.
Hey, I watched season 1.
Okay, so you know more than Kris probably.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I don't have Disney Plus.
I mean, I know the ending of season 2, but it's not really that important in this movie.
Not that much. They hint to like how the TVA has changed, but they don't specifically say like, "Oh, this is why we're doing it like this because this person did this really epic thing." They don't go into that at all. But what I will say, in continuity with what happened in the TVA beforehand, they make a clear distinction. This TVA is different from the one you've seen before. So that like that's why they're wearing different armor and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, I really like the TVA in this film. Again, it's nice to have throughout the multiverse saga of this phase of Marvel to have this through line of the TVA of like, okay, these are the guys who are like connecting everything together with the multiverse. I think that's cool in my opinion, and just like
the way they connected it was just perfect because coming from Deadpool 2, and then you have the Loki, and then mix that together and connect it. It was perfectly planned.
Oh, I guess while we're in non-spoilers, I guess we could talk about action. I really like the action in this film. I think it's very creative and very inventive, especially the opening action sequence. That's probably the most unique fight scene I've seen in a very long time.
Yes, some of those I was just like, ooh, I don't know how that's gonna go over in Japan. Everyone was fucking laughing their asses off in the Japanese theater.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, like even though it's normally like you're dead silent in a Japanese theater, people were laughing.
That's crazy.
Wait, so quick kind of side note. In the Japanese theater, is it still English just subbed in Japanese?
Yes, so some movies get their own Japanese dub. This one didn't. It had Japanese subtitles, but it was all in English.
That's
Okay,
interesting because you would imagine for a main character of the film whose mouth really doesn't seem moving, it'd be easy to dub him over.
Yeah, but then you have to do everyone else.
That's true.
But it was really funny hearing the jokes in English, then reading what they put in Japanese and being like, okay, this is kind of the Japanese equivalent. I don't know how close it is, though, but it kind of is. It was fun to see. You guys got to learn a little bit of Japanese. Come here and watch a movie in Japanese.
Yes, I'll get right to that with the $0 in my bank account. Before we get into spoilers, I just want to say, despite them saying that you don't need to have seen any other Marvel film to enjoy this film, I'm going to call bullshit. Because
I'm calling absolute horseshit.
Yeah, they pulled so much shit from old Marvel movies that I'm just like, I don't understand some of this. Cause like,
There's literally one scene where it has references to almost all the past movies.
yeah. And I'm not just talking about just MCU Marvel. I'm talking about like the movies that we've covered on this channel and others.
Well, yeah, because Disney bought all of that from Fox, right?
Yep. They pretty much own most to not all Marvel characters. There might be some like weird film right issues with like the Hulk, but other than that, like they have the rights to pretty much everything Marvel now. Oh wait, no, they don't. They don't have the rights. They don't have the rights to Spider-Man. My bad. So no, yeah, Spider-Man can't play with any of these guys yet.
I only kind of want to quickly go back to when we were talking about action, because that goes into like one of my negatives.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some of the, at least like the group fight scenes, it was very messy to me, to where I couldn't exactly see what was happening.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Like, yeah, you have the close-up shots for like the single characters, they like battling multiple enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when it's a wide shot and then you see everyone fighting. Like, yeah, it's gonna be messy, of course, but when comparing it to like other ones I've seen, like, yeah, it's so messy. I can't tell who's where, who's fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Very messy. One scene, and then kind of toward the end, and like I'll call it the street scene. Like, that was kind of messy. I could only really see one character doing something.
That's fair. Well,
to be fair, one character blended in with all the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was looking for a distinct feature I will talk about later. You know, yeah, I'll end it there because the rest I have to say is more spoiler.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we're kind of pussyfooting around like what we really want to talk about, so are you guys ready to talk about spoilers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. God, what do we start with?
Scene 1. What do you mean?
Okay.
The opening scene.
I love that opening scene because I remember that one video came out where they had Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman like sit down on a couch and say like, okay, we understand that Logan happened. We're not going to touch that. Whatever happened in Logan happened in Logan. And in the beginning of this film, they just say, yes, how are we going to pay respect to the death of this long-loved character by completely desecrating the grave?
For real.
Like,
they went there with it, but it was honestly it was Deadpool.
It was
Deadpool
so funny. And the fight scene that ensues with him using the corpse of Wolverine, of Logan specifically, is
using his like legs as nunchucks.
Using his skull as like a ball and chain.
He was using his fingers as throwing knives.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
No, like during that scene where he hit the guy in the junk, he very slightly stroked the humerus when he hit the guy in the dick.
That is true. What else?
The entire thing with he had the Wolverine, or he had like Logan's claws on him.
That was awesome.
And then he stabbed one guy in the ass, other in the dick and balls. It was just going back and forth.
That's true.
No, and then like the whole dancing bit.
Oh, that was so funny.
Oh, it was.
I don't know why or how I remembered it, but as soon as he started doing the dancing, I remembered that it was the actual choreo from the music video. I don't know how I remembered it, because that song is old as hell, and I don't remember the last time I've seen the music video. But as soon as he did like the stepping to the side, back and forth,
yeah,
it was the actual choreo for that dance, for the song.
And it's a reference to X2 when Wolverine is in Scott Summers' car and Pyro, who's in this film, goes to play something on the radio. It's that song, and Wolverine just goes, no.
Wolverine's just an 80s music hater.
I don't know about that. But
he hates NSYNC. NSYNC is like the face of the 80s.
That's 90s, early 2000s.
90s shit. I meant to say 90s. Dude.
Jesus, they're not that old.
No, yeah, it's like that's Justin Timberlake. That's like early 2000s, bro.
They were at the same time as Justin Timberlake. What the fuck?
No, he's in the
I don't
band.
know my artist timeline.
He's the lead singer.
He's the guy.
What?
Okay, we're gonna have a very, very long educational talk after this.
Okay, comments. We got it covered. That scene was fun. Let's just say
it's become the quickest meme since the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's the next scene we want to talk about, or do we still want to talk about dancing?
No, we can talk. We can keep going because I was gonna say like, then we get a scene with like Deadpool getting interviewed by Happy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Which he was fun to see. It's also kind of fitting since that guy is the director of the first Iron Man, and like he's a very important figure in Marvel in general. So him being like Deadpool meeting him makes sense, and why he's like, hey, I want to be a part of this. And I ultimately found it kind of a weird motivation for the character to want to be an Avenger, because for like the first 2 films, he's like, I don't want to be a hero.
Well, yeah, but then Deadpool 2, with Nessa's whole, like, be a hero, matter, or something like that, kind of drove that point into this film.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say, like, I'd say, like, yeah, Deadpool 1, yeah, definitely don't want to be a hero. Deadpool 2, kind of going to that direction.
That's fair.
And 3.
Okay, I get it then. But I just felt like it was just a bit sudden and like kind of just set up only in this film. But other than that, I still found it like it made more sense of like the whole midlife crisis thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just going about life. He's a car salesman, and I love him having to staple on the toupee. That looked horrifying, by the way.
I don't know. All I could see was Ryan Reynolds.
Dude, it was just something about that image just looked wrong. But yeah. So he has his little birthday. He gets kidnapped by the TVA. They ask him to basically work for them and be a part of the sacred timeline, and yada yada yada. Try to like basically be like a worker for them and go about like pruning different timelines. He gets a new suit, and then Kris, you wanted to talk about this?
Yeah, the fucking tailor constantly with the ass and the dick.
That was so funny. I love as soon as like he gets out, he's like, "Oh yeah, fresh new suit, new car smell. Your tailor's a predator."
Yeah.
But then also like right after that one like cubicle work guy who's just staring at him, just like, bro, control the horniness.
He's just like, this guy gets it. It's like, who you calling? Your wife? HR. Does your wife work in HR? Oh, I love that bit.
I mean, that guy was like every guy watching that movie. Let's be real.
For real. Well, maybe not for Deadpool for me. But no, then we find out that within every universe there's an anchor beam, and then when that anchor beam dies, this universe slowly dies with it, which is a very meta way to look at like when Hugh Jackman left the X-Men franchise, everything else afterward just kind of went with it.
Yep.
For real.
So I found that kind of funny. Yeah, like, and also could be, at least going forward with the sacred timeline, like, who was the anchor being in that universe? And with recent stuff to come out of Comic-Con, which I'll talk about in another video, it's interesting to see what they're going to do with that concept going forward.
Yeah, I'm interested on how they'll do that. I'm actually kind of excited if they write well. I feel like it won't be more Deadpool, it'll be more like Disney, and that's where I'm scared. It recently hasn't been the best stuff.
And
this one.
They do make fun of that in this film, that they make multiple references to, like, when Deadpool recruits Wolverine in this film, he's like, sorry, you're kind of joining in on a low point.
Yeah.
I was like, damn!
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. This hasn't been the strongest. I still think there's some good stuff, I just don't think it's been the best. It's not like Phase 3 where it was like hit after hit after hit after hit.
So then after that, he learns that Logan was the anchor being. He gets genuinely mad because he thinks he's the important one.
Yeah. But then that leads Deadpool to go out into like the multiverse and try to find a new Wolverine for his universe.
This scene was amazing.
Dude, this was like a nerd's wet dream, I swear.
Just all the fucking different versions of Wolverine. It's just like,
well, the first one we get is really funny because it was a complaint that's been made even on this channel. In the first X-Men review that we did, I said like, well, Hugh Jackman's great at casting, but he's a bit too tall for the character. First joke they make about that is you get to see comic book accurate height Wolverine, and I'm kind of glad that they don't do that.
The fact that he's a fucking midget.
Well, no, yeah, Wolverine is like 5'3" in the comics.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy, because then he's pretty at height with a lot of other characters in the comic.
Well, think about it, like, Spider-Man's taller than him. The other ones we get are like... Sorry, I don't know the specific comic book it's from, but I do know the image of Wolverine on the X-Cross with the skull and bones. That's a popular image from the comics. There's the one where he's in the black leather and giant wild hair. That one's from the Age of Apocalypse run. And he doesn't have a hand.
Oh, yeah, there was a garbage fire next to him in a fucking alleyway and some shit.
Yeah. I'm just glad that they're just like, okay, if we're going to get him in the costume at least one time, we're going to try to get as many costumes as we can. And Adrian was trying to say earlier about, like, the one that I love from the comics is the golden brown costume that you get to see in this film for a brief moment. Another version of the character we get is Patch, who's there for like a quick blink and you miss it second.
Because then we also got Old Man Logan.
Comic book accurate Old Man Logan, yeah.
And then we have the last one.
That one is crazy and has been like a popular like fan casting for a long time. We get to see Henry Cavill as Logan.
Which is so weird. Because, like, I always feel like Hugh Jackman has been, like, the face of Wolverine for so long.
Mhm.
Anyone else is just like, no.
There's only been one other actor to play a live-action Wolverine, and you want to know who it is?
Was it Henry Cavill?
Nope, Troy Sivan.
What?
He plays young Logan in X-Men Origins.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's technically the only other actor to play this character in live action.
Damn.
Until now. Pretty much it. And then when we get to the one that we follow in this film, like he's at a bar, he's sad, and he's the only one that doesn't immediately try to attack Deadpool. And then my favorite joke, there's a lot of favorite jokes of mine in this film, but one that I do really appreciate is when like Logan drinks himself unconscious and like Deadpool goes to like pick him up and he like opens his shirt and you don't see it immediately, but you see him like, oh, look at the PJ's here.
Yeah.
And then he just looks in the camera and says, that only took 20 fucking years. I was like, that is so true.
One of the really funny ones though was the fucking Wolverine tries to get his claws to come out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's too drunk.
That's common amongst Wolverines over 40. But no, dude, I just want to say, it's so satisfying seeing him in that costume. It just feels right.
Like, I've never been a big X-Men person. Like, I've never really seen the movies, but I do know that he's never worn the costume in any of them.
Mhm.
So to actually see the actual costume, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it's so fun to see him like that. But no, yeah, then they go back to the TVA, they find out, like, there's no way to fix this, and they get sent to the Void.
Void time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to see Deadpool versus Wolverine.
I think it's good. I do think it's also, like, there's not much at stake when both characters can just pretty much heal from anything.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see just these two characters duke it out in some really fun and creative choreography, especially from Deadpool's point of view, because, like, he's doing some really cool, like, tricks and stuff. And, like...
Wasn't this in front of the 20th Century Fox?
Yes, that's so funny. But then a bunch of marauders come in, led by Pyro and Sabretooth. And then we get the first big cameo of the film.
Kris Evans!
Yep, and it was like, holy shit, it's him. But then, like, wait a minute. His hair's different. And then he talks a little bit. Did he just swear?
He starts swearing. You're like, your first thing, like, that's like Captain America.
And then when he's like, oh, here he goes. He's going to say the line. Deadpool goes, Avengers, flame on. I love that they finally just made that joke. And we get to see...
Deadpool was the movie to make the joke.
Oh, of course, yeah. And this is the only film you can do this in. And it's really fun to see him back. Admittedly, in those films, he was pretty fun as that character. And again, like Kris Evans just being who he is, he just immediately picks that character up where it left off. And
dude, I never even watched the fucking Fantastic Four movies, I don't think.
They're not the best.
Yeah, early 2000s superhero movies.
Like, they were still trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
But admittedly, it's fun to see anything Fantastic Four show up in these films. I know we're getting the Fantastic Four film next year, so it's like, okay, we're just basically killing off everything now. But yeah, then they get led back to Cassandra Nova's base, which is basically a giant Ant-Man body.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty fun.
Where the fuck does that come from? Because I thought at first it was just the giant suit. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Then I see the fucking skull. I'm just like, what?
Well, I think when things get put into the void because they're not supposed to be there in the timeline, so the TVA basically prunes them and brings them here So like this is where like it's just Easter eggs galore. Like I remember I saw this twice already, and the second time I noticed a lot more stuff. Like immediately when they get sent to the void, I noticed like in the corner of the frame, oh, there's Thor's original helmet, like from the comics. Like, and then the cars that they're driving, one of them is just straight up the classic Jack Kirby Fantastic Car. One other thing I noticed is during the credits they said like Red Skull car team. I'm like, wait, his car was oh yeah, it's that souped out like Oldsmobile that he drives in that movie. So like there's just a ton of little stuff you can see. And then when you get to her compound, it's like X-Men character galore. Like you see Azazel, the Juggernaut. If you watched even these reviews with us, you'll see characters from things everywhere. Cassandra Nova kills Johnny in a really violent way.
Skins him alive.
Uh-huh. And admit it, at first you're like, oh, Deadpool killed that guy because he started talking shit about saying like all these false things about what Johnny said to Cassandra. And it leads into this ongoing joke of the film, like, you got that poor boy killed.
No, and I love the joke right after. He's like, you act like we got the budget for that.
Yeah, like, he was not going to be in the budget. Also, he's not my favorite Kris.
Yeah.
Great joke. Like, and then they escape the compound after, like, she kind of fucks with his mind. I also like...
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
It's the fact that she has to reach in.
Mm-hmm.
That literally, like, ugh.
I like that effect.
So fucking to the max. That is so fucking.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it earlier. It's like, they're fucking.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fucking.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool way to differentiate, like, from how Charles uses telepathy and how she has to do it. I think that's really cool. Other than that, I don't know all what her powers are. She seems to just have the ability to control matter itself. They fly off. They meet Nice Pool and Dog Pool. First off, Dogpool is so fucking cute. I don't care if that's officially the ugliest dog in Britain. She's adorable.
She's ugly in an adorable way.
Mm-hmm. It's a dog. I can't say... No dog is ugly in my opinion. They're all cute in their own way.
I just want to say I love Nice Pool.
Nice Pool is so funny. Like, I love automatically Deadpool does not like him.
You can see the disbelief in his eyes just after the first sentence Nice Pool says.
Mm-hmm. It's just also like, where's your mask? Oh, you see this? No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, it fits.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also like, well, Ryan Reynolds really can't show his face that much if he's the Deadpool, so it makes sense why he's doing this. Then Nice Pool gives them his Honda Odyssey, which, by the way, has to be one of my favorite jokes, only because I own a Honda Odyssey.
Oh, but also it's like pulling from when like Deadpool was like having to be that car salesman.
That too, yeah.
Talking so much shit against a Honda Odyssey, and now he has to fucking drive one.
Mm-hmm. So funny. It's a road trip movie at this point, and these two in this Honda Odyssey, and like we find out that like Deadpool was initially tried to like tell Logan like, hey, if you help me, I can restore everything right to your world, and then when they talk about it again, he says, if I'm able to do it. And then Logan's just like, what did you just say? And then, dude, Hugh Jackman just fucking nails this scene of just him going off on Deadpool, just telling him, you're an annoying piece of shit that will never fucking matter. You're a big joke. And you couldn't even keep a relationship together with a stripper. Damn.
It was like, I can't relate to whatever life he has, but that hurt me somehow because it connected. I don't know how, but I felt his pain.
Dude, and I love Deadpool's response because it's the only part of the film where he's actually kind of like serious and really upset. He's just like, I'm gonna fight you now.
It leads into one of the most creative fights I've ever seen.
In the Honda Odyssey, it's so funny.
Just what they did in that tiny space was amazing.
It's so good. The fact that they end the scene of them fighting, continuing to fight, but just focusing on the sign on the back that says coexist.
Yeah. I saw that sticker in the earlier scene. I'm like, what does that sticker say? I can't read it. And it just coexists.
Yeah, like blood just like gets dropped on it and stuff like that. It's so funny.
But also I found it really funny, the fact that the van was just bouncing for a little bit. I'm just like,
yeah.
for all the people who shipped them.
Oh, there's definitely people that do. I'm not showing any of the artwork though. But
No.
okay, this is where we get the big surprises in the film. Like, this is where we get the cameos that everybody was waiting for in this film. And oh my, there are some that I am genuinely shocked they got back. The first one out the door initially is Jennifer Garner's Elektra. You know what? I'm not that shocked because, one, the last film this director worked on had her in it. So I was like, okay, they worked on that film together, so it makes sense. Like, hey, would you want to come back as this character you played? And she said yes. And honestly, I think this might be my favorite version of her performance as this character, because she's like, I'm committed to this character. I remember playing this like 20 some years ago now. And yeah, like, it's really cool getting to see her back. Her action scenes were pretty cool, but there's not much to her other than, like, she's just Elektra. I will say they do make one joke about the fact that Ben Affleck's Daredevil's not in this. That is really funny. Where it's just like, oh man, Daredevil's not here, and she just goes, eh. Context behind that is like Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck were married and then they divorced.
Layers in these in the jokes, and that one and this other ones is insane.
The one with where like Deadpool says like, oh, don't worry, he's a little upset after the divorce, talking to Hugh. That one was wild. I remember some people in the theater just went, ooh, ooh. Like, that one was a violation, man. That one was rough. Okay.
You gotta do Hugh like that.
Yeah, you don't have to do Hugh like that. Okay, this next one is probably the biggest shock I got out of the theater. Like, no fucking way they did that. Wesley Snipes' Blade is back. That is nuts. First of all, him being back is just awesome. They've been trying to get this new Blade movie in production for like 4 years now. Nothing's been going. So the fact that they just have the old original Blade in this film, perfect. And he still got it.
Honestly, he was badass. Like, I didn't know he was like a character.
Mm-hmm.
Won't lie.
Blade's an awesome character. Those first two films of his are just so fun. And he doesn't miss a step in this film. It is also funny, too, because Ryan Reynolds is in Blade Trinity. So, if you know anything about the production of that film, it was bad. Like, really bad. So, the fact that he got him back for this film, and has also said, like, oh, no, it's my friend Wesley Snipes. And, like, even though that production was really bad, like, they got along pretty okay. So, there's like, hey, do you want to come back and do this? Is just crazy to me. And I cheered so fucking loud when he says, huh, some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill. That made me cheer so fucking loud.
Yeah, I was sitting right next to you and you were loud.
Dude, that line is so dumb, but he sells it so well. Like, oh man, I was just excited to see him back. Admittedly, I wish he had the stiletto sword that he had in his films, but the machete was still pretty cool.
He's got to work with what he's got. You know, it's the void.
I know, but he still had the gun from his original film. He still had that
honestly,
throwing...
a sword like that is gonna fucking break if he's been in the void fucking ever.
That's true.
Especially going against Cassandra Nova.
That's fair. But he also, oh man, I got so excited when he had that throwing, I don't know the specific name of it, but the throwing weapon from the first film. Oh, fuck yeah. It was so cool to see him back. And my favorite joke is when, like, he's like, there's only gonna be one blade. And then Deadpool looks directly in the camera.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. I'm just saying this. Mahershala Ali, you got some big fucking shoes to fill, man. Good luck. I really wish this Blade film that they're working on works out. Yeah, after this, I'm like, okay, Marvel, good luck. The next one that I want to talk about, I'm just going to say it, play the clip. I feel like it was so well known that this was going to happen. Like, that this character was going to have his own movie, that I really do think, and I could be very wrong, but I think he could show up in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! No!
I fucking called it. Here on this YouTube channel. Getting to see Gambit, played by Channing Tatum, was so awesome.
Dude, Gambit was the only one I recognized.
Which is crazy because he's never been in a fucking film.
which is also crazy because you don't know who Channing Tatum is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When he walked out, I was just like, oh my god, finally, they fulfilled the prophecy. Because he was announced years ago, the movie never went into production, and then when Disney bought Fox, all the productions of all those films went nowhere. So the fact he gets to finally play this character on screen, and admittedly, his stuff was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like getting to see like the card tricks and like how he fought. That was really awesome. Like how they visualized it. It's just like the comics. It's just a little bit more. It's just a bit bloodier than usual. I will also say Joel on this series of videos also called it and saying, "Man, that accent." That is a
Yeah. Honestly, the accent in the movie, I was just like, "Ooh, hello, sir."
yeah. Admittedly, I don't think it's a great accent. I don't think like he nailed it all too much. I could not have watched an entire movie with him with this accent.
Yeah, like who is his dialect coach?
The Minions? That made me laugh so hard.
Hilarious. I love that.
He said some really wild out of pocket shit.
Dude was like, "Oh, shut up, my daddy's sperm." Instantly my favorite character off that line.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was funny shit. And I'm like, man, I don't even know my dad, but that's funny.
But man, like and also it's a comic accurate Gambit look.
Oh, that's what surprised me the most and made me the happiest for Gambit is that it was lore accurate.
Yeah, it was like honestly, the thing about that costume, it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
The only thing that makes sense out of it is the giant leather jacket. Everything else is ridiculous.
Let Gambit do what he wants.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm like, okay, he's wearing silver boots, a black onesie.
Next, you don't know high fashion.
Apparently, but I will say I think Emily at the beginning of the series said it best. There's some things that look better
In the comics.
in the comics than they do live action. Oh, and we've got one more character to talk about, which they totally fucking spoiled in the last trailer before it came out.
Fucking stupid.
I thought that was so stupid. X-23.
Fucking stupid to reveal.
Why did they do that? I heard two reasons why. One, they wanted to show that this film has an actual emotional core to it. So they're like, well, we got to show her then. And then they also said Daphne Keane wanted to go to the premiere.
Okay. I mean, I get the first reason. It's a very strong pull to get an audience. I understand the reasoning.
It also is the cameo that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, if we want to like...
That's the end of the last Logan film.
Exactly, yeah. And I love that they said, this is that character.
I mean, we kind of said all their names, so I'm just wondering, how the fuck did they all get there?
Well, I think their timelines just got pruned. I think that's
Which
just...
then begs the question, if that X-23 is the same one from the Logan universe, that means that's the X-23 from that Deadpool's original universe.
Yeah.
Why is she there? The universe hasn't been pruned yet.
Maybe that timeline, because they said like their timeline slowly starts to die. So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Honestly, once you get into like timeline stuff with this stuff, it makes no sense. So admittedly, I'm just like, okay, so at one point after Logan, the TVA came in and just wiped that timeline out. Or at least some version of that timeline. But all I know is that Laura from that movie is back and has grown up. And man, like just her getting to like have a one-on-one with Logan and just like talk was just bizarre to watch because I was like, I never thought I'd see this again.
Yeah.
And then when they go to storm the compound and like they all get to have their action sequence, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of sad that we never got to see X-23 in like a comic book costume. But as soon as she put on those pink glasses, I was like, yes! I was like, that's so cool. I don't know why, but that made me cheer. Like of all like the comic book like accurate costumes, that moment made me cheer. That little thing tells so much of a story about the fact that like that moment in her life of with Charles and Logan has meant so much to her that she's kept that so good. Just that fight scene is, as Adrian said, was a bit complicated and a bit shot weird, but I think that was just awesome getting to see all those actors come back and play those characters and get a fight scene.
another negative I had that had spoiler in it. It was very, very kind of tiny to me, but I wish Elektra and X-23 had more equally as long screen time as Gambit and Blade. Because in my opinion, they didn't have the same amount. They deserve the same amount.
That's fair. I guess the only thing I would say after that is Gambit and Blade have more interesting choreography and moves they can do than just stabbing.
I mean, true, but I want it to be fair to everyone.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, yeah, I get it. Like, they can't be as creative, but I want them to have the same spotlight.
That's fair. They confront Cassandra Nova. They manage to get back to the Deadpool's timeline. They're about to stop them. But then Cassandra Nova basically finds out that the TVA had a plot against her. And she decides, you know what, I'm going to take that Time Ripper and I'm going to control reality and basically make everything in the void. I'm like, okay, cool. Makes no sense. And why does she now give a shit about this? And this is her plan? All right.
Because someone tried to fucking kill her.
I guess, but like...
out of nowhere, because she was just vibing in the void.
Yeah, but how does that lead to, I'm going to destroy everything but the void?
Yeah. Like,
she's a temperamental psychopath. Of course she's going to take things to the max because the TVA runs all of that. To destroy the TVA, she's going to have to destroy all the other timelines.
She's not wrong.
I mean, it's true, but her goal isn't the TVA. It's just get rid of everything else.
Yeah, just so that, and just make it the void. Okay, I guess this is just a way to keep the villain not just some guy that can be easily stabbed.
Yeah.
However, it does lead to one thing where I'm like, okay, I like getting to see the Deadpool core, but I also feel like they just kind of showed up at the end for some reason.
Yeah.
Also, why are they following Cassandra?
I think it's more in that idea that they're mercenaries.
Yeah.
She was like, okay, I don't have anybody left. I'm going to hire these guys.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I wish they would have explained that better.
Agreed.
But I will say, this does lead to my favorite point in the film. It's that scene in the trailer where you see them walk out to Madonna's Like a Prayer. And basically before, like in the trailer, it cuts to the point where they just basically stand. But in the movie, it goes on a little bit longer. And you just see Logan pull up his hood and then put the cowl on. And he's got the mask. He finally has the Wolverine mask on. And it looks amazing. Like...
make you come.
And the best part of it too is like I've seen some cosplays of that costume, and I'm always like, the cowl looks a bit questionable, especially like if you see the actual person's eyes. But dude, I don't know how they nailed it, but they nailed the look. Like it is that from the books in live action. Like, dude, it looked awesome, and the fight scene was really fun in my opinion. Like the one shot of everything going on, and my favorite part is like. Deadpool has all this really complicated choreography. Wolverine ain't that. He's just like stab, 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 stab.
Slash, 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 slash.
It's really fun. And then they got that one splash page image of them breaking out of the bus. Like, dude, fuck off.
Oh my god, that was the greatest scene.
I cheered so loud.
It was funny though seeing Deadpool fail the landing.
Yeah.
I love his like line afterwards, like, damn it, I failed the landing. That's the only thing people are gonna care about.
Yeah.
I will say, the one thing I was thinking the entire time was, wait a minute, these are all Deadpools. Don't they just regenerate? Like, okay, this is a really cool scene. But I'm also like, I was like, okay, this is really cool, but shouldn't they like be getting back up? And then, they just do. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, you just see a baby pool, which is Ryan Reynolds' youngest child.
By the way, I was really worried what they were going to go for there when it's like, that's the last one. I was like, movie, I know you're rated R, but are you going to go there?
Yeah. And then Kid Pool was actually the oldest kid of Ryan.
And then Lady Pool was Blake Lively.
Yeah, that's Blake. So it was just really cool to see that.
Okay, two other characters that I know played Pools were Head Pool was played by Nathan Fillion, and then Cowboy Pool was Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, again, they're all wearing masks, so you can just throw a voice in. Yeah, the Peter joke was so funny.
Like every universe has a Peter.
We love Peter, and it's like, okay, enjoy my Peter.
Peter.
And the fact though that Peter is used as a word for dick. It's just like, enjoy my Peter takes an entirely different turn.
It makes sense for Deadpool. They then get into the machine. They basically find out if you attach this part of the machine to this part, it'll deregulate the whole thing, but it would also cause you yourself to become vaporized, even with your healing factors and such. And immediately
if one person were to hold it.
Yeah, if one person were to hold it, yeah, they would die. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, just both of you hold it. And I'm like, okay, I guess they didn't come to that realization because they both want to kill themselves, apparently.
Well, they wanted one of them to live.
Well,
so
yeah, they both...
They didn't know one of them wasn't going to be able to reach both.
Mm-hmm.
So it just happened to be that way at that point.
Yeah, but also there's like a lot of weird contrivances where it's just like Deadpool locks the door behind him and is like a noble sacrifice. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, Wolverine, you have adamantium claws that are the strongest metal ever and can cut through anything. Why the fuck are you barging down the door?
It's an emotional moment, okay? Not everyone can think with their emotions running high, man.
Kris, Logan literally solves his emotions with cutting people and things. It's not that far of a reach to say, hey, why don't you just cut down the door?
Remember, Max, it's hard for Wolverine's over 40.
I guess. Especially when it's an emotional moment between two people.
See, now you get it.
And yeah, they hold hands and...
Hey, shirtless Hugh Jackman.
Dude, when he busts out of that shirt and you just see all the muscles and you just see Deadpool look into camera just like, yeah. I laughed so hard. Dude, that is actually Hugh Jackman.
That is? I thought there was going to be like CGI
Nope.
in.
Mm-mm. Well, to be fair, it's only for this one point in this film you see that, so it's like, okay, he probably just worked out very hard for this point in the movie, and then for everything else he's under the full sleeve suit, and then when he's in the short sleeve suit, or the sleeveless version, he worked his arms out. But no, dude, that's Hugh Jackman, man. Like, I recognize those muscles from the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's probably the best he's looked like since the Wolverine.
As much as I would like to say it's totally natural, he probably does still have some of the muscle from back then, because it is hard to lose.
Mm-hmm.
They probably CGI'd it a little with the contouring and stuff, just because
you also have to think, like, Hugh Jackman hasn't not been physical. He's still Music Man and doing musicals, and he's the Greatest Showman, which they do make fun of in this film. He's still like a very physical actor. He's just not like, he doesn't need to work out like for this stuff, and
he doesn't need the superhero body.
Mm-hmm. But damn, man, he still got it. Him with the cowl on and shirtless, I'm like, yeah, that's Wolverine. Like, this is just perfect. And then I love the joke where, like, he's all shirtless and walking out, and then, like, the guy from before and this random girl are just like,
I mean, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either, but I also...
I don't blame him. I was like that. I was just like, oh, shit.
I also love the joke where Deadpool's just like, cover up your greasy, oily tits.
Yeah.
I think I also really like the line of, like, you were talking earlier about, like, Paradox being like, oh, the men I sent down there, they nobly sacrificed themselves.
Yeah.
Great people. And then you just hear Deadpool is like, your savior is here. And he goes, fuck!
How did you survive?
When you have two men holding hands together while listening to Madonna, nothing can stop them.
Yeah.
Great line.
Honestly, the entire, like, soundtrack in this movie, I'm just like, yes!
That cover in that moment was really good. I like that cover. I gotta find it online. But yeah, no, after this movie, I got that song stuck in my head. No, yeah, like, then yeah, they go home. Like, Wolverine's now in this universe, and Deadpool offers him to go back to his apartment. And now, yeah, Wolverine and Deadpool live together now, apparently. And they live a pretty happy life. And then, the image I never thought I needed to see, but just, like, made me tear up almost, was just like, oh, that is so sweet. Seeing Logan and Laura at a dinner table, petting a dog together, happy, just, like, without, like, this overlooming threat of anything. It was so bizarre. It's one of those images you never knew you needed to see until you see it.
Yeah. I felt the same way when I saw it.
I was just like, holy shit, I never thought I needed to see that. And I don't think this film makes Logan any lesser, because everything that happened in that film still impacts what happens in this film and just adds 2 characters. So
it
like,
just shows how deep Logan the movie was and just how great it was.
we had nitpicks, but at the end of the day, this is such a fun movie. It's hard to be angry against. And yes, there's people that are going to be angry against it. I don't think this is a film for everybody, but for like people that watch the X-Men movies, people that's been watching all these reviews that we've been doing, like, this is a film for you. This is a love letter to the Fox era of like Marvel movies and a good like little button for them. One thing I kind of appreciate about this film is it doesn't really set up anything.
Honestly, I feel like it's the finale. Like, I wouldn't mind another Deadpool movie, but also I don't think they could top this one.
I don't think, yeah, this is a hard film to like one up after this. Like, this is like a culmination of so many different things. However, I wouldn't mind seeing these characters in another thing, just in a smaller role. Like, recently they announced 2 new Avengers films that have to deal with the multiverse. So I wouldn't mind seeing them come back.
Or doing something like, you know how they're between like right after the Lion King, they had a Lion King 1.5 where it showed like
Timon and Pumbaa.
and Timon were like in the background of all of it doing shit.
That'd be funny.
If they did something like that for Deadpool, that would be fucking hilarious.
So like during like Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars, you just see them like commenting on everything in the background.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. That'd be pretty funny, like little bit, but I know that like after the multiverse saga of Marvel, they are going to be moving into the mutant saga. So that's interesting. So yeah, this is all leading up to the X-Men being introduced in the mainline MCU. So I'm curious to see how they do that. But no, yeah, like honestly, this is the right film that Marvel needed right now. This is the hit they needed. Because after like the Marvels...
this is really for them till next year, right?
Yeah, this is it. Like, they don't have anything coming out except like Agatha, like on Disney Plus. But then after that, like, no, 2025 is where they're like, we are coming back strong. Like, we got Captain America Brave New World, we got Thunderbolts, and then we got the Fantastic Four First Steps coming out. And then I think they might be releasing Blade next year. I don't know. Hopefully, but I don't know. But yeah, just a lot going on right now, and like, this has brought Marvel back into like the mainstream in a good way, in my opinion. This is like the No Way Home for the Fox Marvel movies.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
And
it just kind of finishes everything off.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up, but I just want to wrap it up by saying like, thank you guys for like sticking with this X Marathon. It's been a really rough time. It's been a lot of work. It's been chaotic but it's been also so much fun going back and revisiting these films from my childhood and growing up, and just how much the X-Men and Wolverine and hell even Deadpool mean to me as like characters, and how they've basically shaped the way I am today. Like, it was so much fun getting to revisit these, and I hope you guys enjoyed all these films and leading up to this film. It was fun, stressful, but at the same time very fun. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Do you guys have anything else to say before we wrap this up?
No, I don't have anything.
Not really. This is just one of the... I want to say this might be movie of the year.
Ooh.
My movie of the year. I don't care.
Okay. You know what? I could see this being like someone's favorite movie of the year. I don't think it's like my number 1, but it's definitely top 5. But we are only halfway through, so who knows?
For context, I don't go to the movie theater like ever. I think the last movie I saw in theaters was Super Mario Bros., which came out like what, a year ago? Year and a half ago?
That was 2023.
Yeah, so I only go like once a year, and I went for this one. So it's a damn good movie. And I saw it a day before all of y'all.
You fucker. The fact that you didn't spoil anything for me is crazy.
I tried so hard. I was like, okay, I can't say anything to Max about this movie. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you again for watching all of these reviews. We're gonna have another series of movies coming up pretty soon. Look forward to that. I'll announce it sometime in the near future, but yeah, we're gonna be releasing reviews for The Acolyte and The Boys pretty soon. I just gotta finish up this video. It's gonna take a while, so stay with me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked what we had to say in this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more from us, hit that subscribe button. Share this video around so that we can have more people join the channel. If you want to hear this video unedited,
Subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month. You get to listen to all of our videos unedited. That's all I really guys say. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.